All right, so you've heard about Python. It's everywhere. But when you're just starting out, it can feel like this huge, intimidating universe. Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We're going to find your very first programming magic wand and get you started. Let's dive in. And let's be real, that's a totally normal feeling. One of the sources we looked at puts it perfectly. You're like a wizard in training. And at the beginning, learning all the little rules and syntax can feel kind of boring. I get it. But you gotta stick with it because the payoff is absolutely worth it. So, let's talk about this Python universe. It is enormous. But here's the secret. You don't need a map of the whole thing to get started. It's all about knowing what to focus on, and maybe more importantly, what you can just totally ignore for now. I mean, when you really look at what's in the Python language, it's just packed with stuff. You've got all these syntactical constructions, which are basically the grammar rules. Then there's this massive library of pre-built code and a ton of different development tools. It's so easy to look at all that and think, oh man, I have to learn all of this at once. But you don't. And honestly, you shouldn't. This is the key takeaway right here. You can, and you absolutely should, ignore most of that stuff when you're starting out. Your goal isn't to become a walking encyclopedia of Python. Nope. Your goal is to learn just enough to write some handy little programs. Something useful. That's the real secret to getting off the ground. So, if you're not learning everything, what do you need? Well, this is where your wizard training really kicks in. It's not about memorizing the entire spellbook. It's about mastering just a few core spells that unlock some incredible power. Because with just a little bit of practice, these basic concepts are going to let you command your computer like it's a magic wand. You'll be able to make it do incredible things, and that is the moment when programming stops being this abstract, confusing thing and starts feeling like you have an actual superpower. Think of it this way, right? A wizard in training doesn't start by trying to memorize every single spell in a giant, dusty old book. Of course not. They start by mastering a few key spells until they know them perfectly. It's the exact same idea with Python. Focus on those first incantations, things like variables and functions, and you'll be amazed at what you can do. Okay, you're ready to start practicing your spells, but where do you actually do it? Well, let me introduce you to your first and probably most important tool, the interactive shell. Now, you're going to hear people call this thing the REPL. I know, it sounds super technical, right? But it's just an acronym for Read, Evaluate, Print, Loop. All that really means is that it's a place where you can have a live one-on-one conversation with Python. You type something and it responds instantly. The whole process is incredibly simple. It's just a cycle. First, it reads whatever you type. Second, it evaluates it, which is just a fancy word for runs your command. Third, it prints the result right back on the screen for you to see. And finally, it loops back to the beginning, waiting for your next command. Read, evaluate, print, loop. It's this simple, powerful feedback loop that makes learning so effective. And that immediate feedback, that's the real magic here. There's no waiting around, no complicated steps. You type a command, you hit enter, and you see what it does right then and there. You're literally learning by doing, in real time. Okay, so we've got our magic wand, this interactive shell. Now let's talk about the best way to use it. And it really all comes down to one simple, timeless idea: practice. This is probably the most important piece of advice I can give you. You can read 100 books on programming, you can watch hours of videos, but the ideas will only truly stick when you actually do them yourself. Getting your hands on the keyboard, using that interactive shell, typing in the code and seeing the results with your own two eyes, that is what builds real understanding. So the path forward is pretty clear. You don't need a map of the entire Python universe. You just need to master a few key spells and practice them over and over with your new magic wand, the interactive shell. Your training has officially begun. So the only question left is, what incredible feat are you going to command your computer to do first?